All right, this show is taking a turn for the.
Oh.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Monster Bass Live. We're trying some new technology today, and it's the first time I wanted to use it because I'll be honest, it hasn't been working great, and so I'm hoping that today it's gonna work great, and you guys get some good sound quality. How about everyone in the chat? Let me know how we're doing in terms of can you see me, and how does it sound? No camera, only audio. You guys have to be kidding me. You guys have to be kidding me. Can't see me. Good sound, no video. This is insane. This is insane, guys. I got a great show for you. I really do. It just says Monster Bass. Lovely. Oh, for Christ's sakes. Well, this is spectacular. I mean, you guys can't hear me. Now you guys see me. All right. Well, we're there. I don't know what was going on, but here we are, and there we are. We got a great show for you guys today. Today we're talking, we're going to talk about our new BFS line of rods. We're going to talk golden tickets. We're going to talk product testing, investing, and we might even talk about the tariffs, because I got to tell you, I got some memos from some really interesting from some brands in the industry today talking about what they're going to do and what this means for you. So there you have it. All right. I'm getting lots of comments that it's blurry and you can't hear me, or that it's lagging. Is that the problem? How about in the chat, someone gives me the let me know how we're doing. Are we good? All right, great. All right, so today we got Will Stewart. He designed our lunker sticks, and he also designed the BFS lineup. And he's going to be here today to talk about that. We're going to go through about 8 golden tickets. We're going to talk about product testing because everybody who's got a Platinum Series box this month is going to receive a bait that looks like this. It came from what we're calling a tier 1 brand, because I don't know how to classify the brands, but tier 1 brand that is sold in about 1,000 retail locations, and this is a brand new bait. You're going to receive it in the box. You're going to take it out, and you're going to, test it, see what you think, come back, click the QR code, fill out the survey, and let us know what you think. Now, here's what I can tell you. I took it out yesterday, 30 casts, and I caught nothing, but it runs true out of the box. It's loud, and that's pretty much all I can hope for at the moment. So let's see how we do. If you want to get one, you can just head over to monsterbass.com, order yourself a Platinum Series box, and every single month you're going to get a new bait to test. It'll be included with all the baits that are coming, and I can't wait to see what y'all think. I'm going to share my feedback with everyone and let you guys know what I think along the way. Like I said, I took it out, 30 casts, didn't catch anything, but it runs true out of the box, and that's all I can hope for. So there you have it. Before we get to Will, I got another piece of mail. And I got to tell you, I'm always honored, but a little freaked out sometimes too at the number of people that are inviting me to their weddings. And so this one came from the future Espositos in Rocky Hill, Connecticut, and they invited me to their wedding. And I'm a little surprised. I mean, it's kind of crazy that this is happening. And you know what I thought was even weirder was when I got invited to marry two people, and I would have if they were around, but I don't know. I'm gonna give these guys a call and just find out what's going on really quickly. Hopefully he answers, because if he doesn't, that would be kind of weird, right? I like get his mom or something. You think they just want gifts? What am I gonna send them? A 6-pack of Seekers? Kyle Ward, the panfish box is still there. It's just called multi-species. It's always been there.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up.
Hi, this message is for Nicholas Esposito. Nicholas, this is Rick Patrick calling from Monster Bass. We're actually calling you from live from the show, Monster Bass Live. I received your wedding invitation and wanted to thank you very much, and was hoping I'd get a hold of you, but I didn't. So I'm not sure what I'm doing July 18th, but I think I do. I think that's iCast. As much as I'd love to blow off iCast to come to your wedding, I don't know that I can, but I'm going to do my best. So I don't know. Give me a call whenever you get a chance. Thanks a lot. And again, thank you so much for inviting me to your wedding. All right, there you go. I don't know. But enough about that. Let's just quickly go through the chat. I see a lot of people asking about golden tickets. Golden tickets, we're going to post them throughout the show. They'll be in the chat, and then we'll summarize them all at the end. So you don't have to look very hard. So I think we're going to be good. Oh, look at that. It's Peepaw. They want gifts. When are you coming to get some Florida bass? I'm coming in July. Guys. All right. Before we get to Will, a couple new product drops from some of our brands. We've got tungsten weighted swim bait hooks at First Contact Tungsten. We got propeller head jigs in like multiple sizes, and over at Grande Bass to pair with your airtail wigglers. I know you can't see it. We got tungsten shaky heads. So new products dropping all the time. All right. Okay. All right. There's a lot of talk about golden tickets. I'm just going to give you guys two of them right now so that we can get this party started, and we can go to town here. Okay. Your first two golden tickets. Again, golden tickets come in a Monster Bass box. They're individually numbered, and if I call out your number, email me at marketing@monsterbass.com. Show me a picture of your ticket. Give me your name and address and cell phone number, and we're going to send you something really nice. So, Michael Anderson, happy birthday. Happy birthday. I know, Gramps, you would think it's pretty easy to figure this out, but for whatever reason, they haven't. So, all right, let's not wait any longer. We've been trying to get this guy on a live for the last 18 months, 18 weeks, 18 days. I don't know. At the end of the day, here's what I can tell you. My technology's all messed up, and I don't understand. I'm hardwired to the Wi-Fi. I don't know what the problem is, but let's not wait any longer. You know, the Lunker sticks are a great lineup. We love them. We're really proud of the quality, the performance. They give you all the sensitivity you need, but the backbone for when you really need it. And so when it came time to design a BFS line, you know, we weren't going to look any farther than the last lineup. and he did such a great job that we brought him back for this go around. So let's give a big warm welcome to Will Stewart. How's it going, man?
Pretty good. What's going on? How you guys doing today?
Yeah, doing all right. Doing all right. I think as long as the technology holds up, we'll see. It seems to be quite the little problem these days for me.
Yeah, it can be like that. I don't know how I'm coming through. For me, it looks good, but I don't know how people.
Yeah, you look like a superstar. I mean, like on the runway or something.
I don't know about that, but I do have a pretty nice streaming setup, so maybe that's it.
So mine is garbage.
Yeah, we can work on that though. I can help you out. I can help you out.
Okay. All right. So what's new with you?
Not a whole lot really is new with me. Just been working really hard on getting this BFS line up and ready, and then it took a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But I think we finally got it. We got it nailed down to where it's, it's not just another Me Too of people coming out with BFS lines that are not real BFS lines, but I think we've got a real solid, rod that is based on and on par with the quality wise of anything that you could get from any of the OG Japanese manufacturers. So,
all right.
Yeah, I'm excited to reveal it to some people today and talk about what makes it, better than all the rest.
All right. Well, when it comes to designing a rod, like if
You froze up on me. When it comes to designing a rod.
And of course, the moment I asked that question, I noticed my picture just froze.
Yeah, but you look way better now than you did before. So.
Oh, well, it's great. It's great.
But you were saying when it comes to designing a rod.
Yeah, what are the things you got to consider?
So when you're considering designing a rod, first and foremost is, I guess, the quality of the material that you're using, right? So the types of graphite that you're using, the companies that you're using, and then two components. And then, having a cool design always helps, right? It helps catch the angler. But really, I mean, it's quality materials, quality components, and then balance. Balance is really essential. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then it's a matter of getting that action to, especially on a bait finesse rod. Bait finesse rod, the most important thing is being able to cast, really light lures and baits and stuff like that, getting the rod to load. So getting a quality action that, keeps you from backlashing, keeps your reel from overspooling, and allows you to fish those finesse presentations on a bait caster. That's the key.
Now, the Japanese, when they're designing rods, they design them way different than we do in the States, right?
Yeah, usually primarily. So usually a little bit shorter, usually a little bit softer. They're fishing stuff way down, like with bait finesse, all the way down to a 32nd of an ounce. So that's not a whole lot of American anglers are going that finesse. But I think in this line and with the BFS, we wanted to give people a true JDM style rod, but also one that is a little bit power finesse as well. Something that you could throw, up to a 1/4 of an ounce and, still be able to fish, go to different shops or throw different baits that you get in your Monster Bass box on a bait finesse system that isn't so maybe like hyper finesse. So, but we've got, I think what we would say would be a, like the middle of the road, hardcore JDM style BFS rod. And then we've also got what we call power finesse. I think we even call them that. I think one's called true finesse and the other one's called power finesse. So,
all right. And for those that are brand new, I see the chat. I'm going to just shut this because people seem to think this is affecting my feed. I assure you it's not. It's just my background. So for those that are just tuning in and they're hearing BFS for the first time and bait finesse, can you just give them a quick primer on like what that really means?
Yeah, so it's bait finesse system is what BFS stands for. And it is kind of like a system of fishing. You've got a bait finesse reel, usually has a shallow spool, holds about 75 yards of, 7 to 8 pound test or 10-pound test. And then the rod itself usually has like a light to medium light power. And then, different, usually a fast to extra fast action on that. So that way you're able to fish finesse presentations in cover. So that was the kind of the purpose of the bait finesse system in Japan and why they developed it that way. It wasn't really meant to be fished with super light line. So like you have like pro fishermen in Japan like Aoki, who has like a D's custom D's bait line and a D's custom rod section. I think he used to get through Arbo Garcia. He was kind of one of the forerunners in the bait finesse presentations in Japan back in 2012 to 2015, 16, 17. And the way he explained what BFS was a way to fish slower finesse presentations in cover, right? So like around laydowns, around docks, around places where you could get hung up, and having a bait casting setup would allow you to be more pinpoint accurate with that, and also have the strength in using, around 10%, 100% fluor, 10 pound, 100% fluorocarbon line to be able to pull those fish out of and through cover. Would be something that you're looking for. So it's not quite like uber super finesse where you're fishing 3 and 4 pound test line. You can do that if you want, but it's really meant to be using between 8 and 10 pound test, maybe sometimes even up to 12. Fishing weights anywhere from 32nd of an ounce up to 1/4 of an ounce. Really kind of what it's meant for.
And how many rods are typically? Is it typically a single rod in a lineup, or just like how we have 9 in the lunker sticks? Is it?
Usually it's like probably 2 to 3. So you'll have like maybe you'll have your kind of standard, which would be like a 6'8", 6'7" light powered rod, and then you have maybe like a 7-foot medium light, and then maybe even down to like a 6'5", 6'6" ultralight for like your super finesse stuff. But we kind of started out like in the BFS line that we developed for Monster Bass, kind of hitting that, the original, like a 6'7" light, 6'8" light, and then a 7-foot medium light for kind of like your more power finesse stuff up to 1/4 of an ounce. That's kind of what we're doing here. So it's usually about 2 or 3 rods they would use in Japan for a bait finesse system.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't we do this? Because I haven't actually even seen them myself. So maybe
I
what
have them.
is maybe you could show them. We could talk about, what components we put on it, what's new for this, for 2025, and what makes this like a really quality rod.
Yeah, so for the first time live, really, this is the cover my face because it'll focus on my eyes. But this is the Monster Bass BFS rod system. So we've got all Fuji components here on this rod. You've got a really cool VST. This is actually new for this year, and it has the micro trigger there on the reel seat. So it's about half as deep as a full-size trigger, which would be this part right here. And that basically allows you to use smaller reel sizes, and it's just probably, to be honest, just generally a lot more comfortable. We also have a custom made nut, which is this section here that I actually designed myself. It's all aluminum locking nut, and it has gold. It's kind of hard to see, but gold accents in between the kind of like gunmetal finished aluminum nut. It's kind of threaded like a, just to give you some traction and some grip. So when you screw it onto the reel seat, that's basically pretty much all you get. There's like no foregrip at all. Also, too, that aluminum gives you a little bit extra weight right there to really get some good balance on the rod, so that it's not tip heavy when you're using smaller and lighter rods. We also have kind of like silver accents. Let me try to get some light on there so you can see it a little bit better. But silver and gold basically accents as far as the logo is concerned. The BFS logo here on the front, it's just the text that says BFS system there. You've got X wrapping across the butt section, which gives you a good, strong, solid backbone. And and then on the grip here, we've got AAA Portuguese cork, accented by an EVA catch. Again, you've got some gunmetal rings, a hook keeper that's attached to the back here, so it kind of gets out of the way when you're fishing lighter line and stuff like that. You don't want it to get stuck and hung up when it's up here in the front. And then you have the call out basically there on the rod, which is difficult to see, but it basically tells you there. This one here is the Power Bait Finesse, and they're 40-ton blank. So you have a 40-ton Toray Japanese carbon fiber blank. Got an unsanded tip section here that runs to the tip, like you'd find on some like the Mega Bass Destroyer series, which basically gives you better durability. You've got Fuji KR guides with the new solid black. It's not painted, but it's a black guide frame. Black anodized stainless steel guide frame with an alkanite insert. So yeah, all quality components, all Fuji components, reel seat, custom nut designed by me, and X wrapping. So you've got a epoxy covered clear coat here up until this point, and then you've got matte finish up to the first guide, and then you have an unsanded tip section. So yeah, if people are familiar with like Mega Bass Destroyer series, or like a Major Craft rod, it's kind of styled similarly. On the butt cap here, you have in gold, you have like the Monster Bass logo and an aluminum, anodized aluminum butt cap here with a kind of a textured ring on the inside here that also has the BFS logo on it, and an EVA cushion so that you're not tearing it up if you're setting it down on the deck of your boat or whatever. You can kind of see that aluminum shining on that nut there. They're just really attractive rods, and they fish really well. This one here is the 7-foot medium light fast. So this one's rated from 1/16 to 1/4 ounce. So you can use this and because it's a medium light, you can even throw like smaller crankbaits on it. So if you're using any of those like redfin shad type of flat-sided crankbaits, you can throw that on this. Smaller jerk baits, like if you're throwing 85 and 65 size jerk baits or something like that, this would be a great rod for that. And then on this one here, this is what we call the True Bait Finesse, and this is a 6-foot, 6'9". Yeah, 6'9" light plus. So that's kind of what they mean by light plus, is it kind of sits in between a light like you would see on a spinning rod and a medium that you would see on the spinning rods, or medium light. So it kind of sits in between, but it's designed, the taper of the rod is more like a casting rod, where you can see that the backbone is still straight, even though I'm putting significant flex on the tip. That backbone, it's still got a really solid backbone for being able to set the hook on a casting rod. This one's going to throw anything down from 1/32 of an ounce on the low end, all the way up to an 1/8 of an ounce is the recommended lure weights for that. So, yeah.
132. I mean,
1/32.
yeah, that's pretty small.
Yeah, and these are what. So when I do line ratings, some companies do it this way, but I tend to do it for the presentation that it was designed for, right? So
Mhm.
what weight range best loads the tip to get you the best accuracy or the longest distance of cast that you're trying to achieve in that particular technique. So you could fish things heavier than probably an 1/8 of an ounce. It just might be a little bit, floppy or sloppy for you, but it's not going to break the rod or anything like that. Going lower than a 1/32 of an ounce, you're probably not going to get a whole lot of load on the rod when you go to pitch or flip a bait out there. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend anything lower than a 1/32, but you could go heavier than an 1/8. But this one would be really good for especially like micro jigs.
Mhm.
So if you're fishing any of those 16th ounce or 8th ounce micro jigs, this is going to be perfect for you. The True Finesse. Smaller techniques if you wanted to fish a drop shot or a shaky head on or a Ned rig on casting gear in and around laydowns or docks where you want to basically kind of just drop it into holes and be really accurate with your casts. The 6'9" True Finesse is probably going to be your best bet. And then if you wanted to do like heavier jigs, maybe like a Strike King Bitsy Bug or some other heavier brands that go up to an 1/8 to 3/16 to 1/4 of an ounce, then you'd want to go with the Power Finesse. So, yeah, those are the rods there.
Nice.
Coming to you guys soon on monsterbass.com. What I'm really impressed with and what I really like is this new reel seat from Fuji, the one with the micro trigger. There were some on the older versions of the ECS. I'm trying to get rid of that shadow. You see it there now, where it's basically it's a lot shorter. Basically, it's not even as deep as your finger. So you kind of have a little bit of that spinning rod feel, but it really, kind of doesn't. You don't have a lot of extra stuff onto there, so when you're pitching and flipping, it's just a lot more comfortable, especially when fishing smaller reels and lighter lines and finesse baits and stuff like that. So then you got your hook keeper situated just back here underneath that. Gold accents in between the reel seat and the cork as well. Gold accents all across the rod and the top. Gold accents in the guide wrap. Double footed stripper guide. It's using the Fuji KR concept, kind of like what they would call it's not quite a micro guide system, but it's like a semi micro guide system that they're using. So it goes down to like 4s on the belly guides and the tip, but then down to a full size stripper guide down at the base. So really good quality components. You're getting 40-ton Toray carbon fiber. You're getting all Fuji components. You're getting a custom aluminum locking nut that just looks cool, but it's also a lot more sturdy. You're not using cork, so if you're trying to crank it down, it's not going to snap. It's solid aluminum. And quality Portuguese cork, all aluminum winding checks. There's no rubber grommets or anything like that, so you don't have anything that's going to peel or crack when you have it sitting in the sunlight on your boat. So
what kind of reel do you pair this with?
So anything that's like there's a lot of bait finesse specialty reels out there now. So you could do like a 50 size bait caster, so 50 or 100. Like maybe on the Power Finesse, you could go up to like a 100, or you could go to like a 50 size Shimano or something like that. But the key on a reel is you want to make sure that it has a shallow spool. So I think Arbo Garcia makes some BFS reels. I think Arc makes one. Shimano Corrado BFS would look pretty cool, especially with this color scheme, because I think the new Corrados are kind of like that gunmetal gray. And that's kind of the same color scheme as this rod here. So It's kind of sleek design, classic black, gold, gunmetal kind of colorings. It looks really premium, but it's also going to be, I think, probably for the dollar, the best BFS rod on the market. So
Now, what happens if I take my my Lose, Pro TI 300, 300, and I put it on there?
I mean, nothing's going to happen except that if you're not using a shallow spool reel, you're going to have a hard time getting that with that light of a lure that you're trying to fish, 1/8 of an ounce, 3/16 of an ounce, or 3/16 of an ounce. That light of a bait is going to have a hard time to get that spool to start to move. And so you're going to get a lot of backlashes. You're probably not going to get very good distance on your cast or pitches or flips because you're not getting the inertia, right? The weight of the lure to turn the spool at the correct speed. So, but I mean, you could use those.
Sure.
It's not going to be as, you're going to get frustrated a lot. So that way.
Well, I don't think we want to see Rick frustrated because that's an expensive rod for me to snap. So
yeah, but I mean, there's tons of brands that are making them now. But so I don't know if people remember, but with Doomsday, I was the first person to release a bait finesse rod in the U.S. market back in like 2015. So even before it was really popular here, it was super popular over in Asia where I was working before I started with Doomsday. And then so I'm kind of like ahead of the curve. So like with this line, I wanted to take some of the newer aspects and features, like the micro triggers and using a 40-ton blank with the X wrapping and all that stuff. In the semi micro guide system, that'll just kind of allows you to allow some new features from what BFS is currently in Asia, and then from the old school original designs. So the best of both worlds, traditional and kind of newer feel. So like kind of right in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to keep up with the comments, and the only comment on here so far that was questioning anything in a constructive, well, there's lots of constructive criticism, but was the location of the hook keeper.
Yeah.
So why put it there as opposed to in front? Because I think somebody said, what was the comment? Can't remember.
Yeah, so we put it on the bottom side of behind the reel seat. And the reason why that we did that is because, especially with lighter line, if you're trying to pitch and flip, if it's up here, especially up here on the top, it can get kind of hung up as you're casting. Lighter line tends to blank slap more than like a heavier line. And so we put it not on the top. A lot of brands will put it on the side, and that kind of gets in the way. We put this one here on the bottom side, so it's like on the exact opposite side of the trigger. So what you're going to come do is you're going to basically come down here, attach it through sideways, and then just kind of wrap rod, grab the line and just kind of twist your rod around. And that also allows it not your bait, especially if you're using like small treble hooks and stuff. If you're using a rod sleeve, your lure's not getting hung up here with the rod sleeve. It's back here behind the rod. I'm not sure why there's any issues with this, because I think it's better to place it back here if you're going to have one. I personally don't like hook keepers at all, but I catch a bunch of slack from it.
Yeah, I know. You didn't want to put one on there, I
don't like them, especially right in this area too. I think it damages the rod, and you're going to get some breakage points back here. So I mean, if it were to, it's nobody, you're not getting any tension, or so as the rod flexes, right, and you're getting vibrations down, the sensitivity, anything that you wrap or attach to the rod blank is going to dampen the sensitivity, especially if it's in front of where your hand is on the rod. So placing it back here just kind of gives you a little bit more sensitivity, as well as I think this here is actually probably a better location for this application, bait finesse, when you're using smaller stuff. Because you're going to probably be able to use, spinning rod sleeves and stuff like that, because that's such a light rod. You don't have to go with a larger bait casting sleeve. Plus, if you've got open hook points from smaller crankbaits or jigs that don't have weed guards and stuff like that, getting those tangled up in your rod sleeve is a pain. I don't know how many times I've gone to the rod locker to pull out a rod, and I go to pull the rod sleeve off, and it's stuck on a hook, and then I'm trying to fish a spot, and I'm spending 10 to 15 minutes getting the hook out of the stupid sleeve that was in my rod locker, when I could have avoided it if it's sitting back here. So.
Well, there's good news. We've got brand new rod covers coming. They're called flak jackets. They're a neoprene material, and they've got material at the bottom that'll prevent the hooks from actually snagging on anything. And
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited to have those come out.
So one guy said that if you're fishing a kayak, they get in the way of the rod holders. So depending on the type of rod holder that you have, most of them are open on the backside. And so like the rod holder tends to, this is a smaller, shorter rod anyway. And so there's usually, it grips here and here. So when you have them on the side, it does kind of get in the way, right? Because where that rod holder attaches is kind of like on the side of the face, which is where most brands place them. And if you because this one's underneath, it should be able to fit. And since you're using smaller baits, like, smaller jigs and stuff like that, it should sit in there just fine, and you won't have any problems pulling it in and pulling it out. Usually there's kind of like an opening on the bottom of the rod keeper, and that hook keeper would fit basically right in that opening. There's usually a claw here that holds and a claw here that holds on those keepers. Yeah.
All right.
But if you're using like this just the normal ones that come on like molded kayaks and stuff like that, it's not going to have a problem. That just holds it based on the butt. But if you have like the ones that sit on the rails that kind of wrap around, because it's underneath and not on the side, you should have less issues. But nice. I to be honest with you, I didn't even think about that. I'd have to test it and see. We have to go find out. I don't own a kayak that has those types of rod holders. So, I don't know.
Well, does somebody have one that wants to call in and talk about this?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody has my phone number.
And you can't make everybody happy.
No, I understand that. Trust me, I've had to learn the hard way.
Yeah,
Elizabeth
says she has a Phoenix rod that has a hook keeper in the same spot and doesn't have a problem on their kayak.
There you go. There you go.
The ones on the side, yes, I could see that, because it's gonna keep it from coming in and out evenly, because there's that gap or that clearance in the rod holder down underneath the where the trigger is and they have that in there so that it doesn't get in the way of the trigger of the rod.
Okay.
Kind of like a gap on the bottom, an opening. That's why it's on the bottom.
All right. Well, my phone just rang, and also I started getting notifications from people that are emailing me, and the subject line is hook keeper, bait keeper, and it's flooded. But we got a phone call, so why don't we take it? How's it going, Gramps?
Hello, LFA. Message heard and received.
Wait a minute. Go ahead.
No, I think you're right. I mean, the rod tubes that we use on the side of our black packs are plenty. There's plenty of space. I fish full size bait casters and spinning that say on my, that on full size gear go in and out of there just fine. I have a lot of rods. I have a lot of rod combos with the hook keepers ahead that are fine, but like the NRX line, it's down below the grip. And, so I might have a full size shaky head or a fully rigged jig and creature bait. But with this BFS, it's a smaller grip, it's a smaller bait, because I could see me throwing something like a little Z-Man TRD or something like that. But those rod tubes would be plenty big enough for what we're talking about here.
Right on.
Yeah, so I mean, like if you're using like a Yak Attack Omega style rod holder or something like that, you aren't going to have any problems with it down there.
No, they'll be just fine.
Or maybe even one of the cheaper ones from like Bass Pro Shops or something like that, like the 360 HTs. That style you should be fine because it's not on the side, right? You're coming up from the bottom where that as it wraps around, there's that kind of like relief underneath. If you're coming through the side, yeah, I can see it getting hung up on there as you're trying to pull it in and out. When you're coming up through that bottom where it has like a rolled off lip that allows you to slide it in and out, I think you should be fine.
Yeah, and with the length of most of the rod tubes that like
We lost you, I think. Or we lost Rick.
any big deal. But I did have a question. Which rod would you recommend if I've never thrown bait finesse? I throw spinning rods for all of that stuff. But if I wanted to throw like a Z-Man TRD on a real lightweight, which one of the two rods would you recommend?
What weight mushroom head do you normally use, or jig head do you normally use?
I probably, if I'm doing this, I'll be on a river anyway. So the 32nd, whatever the lightest that I can get away with.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're going with the lighter stuff and you're wanting to be pinpoint accurate, and you're fishing a river that maybe if you're maybe fishing slow water in a river, so like if I was fishing something like southern rivers like the Merrimack or something like that, that's a little bit slower water, not a huge river system, I'd probably go with like the smaller one, the 6'9". But if I'm in fish someplace like say up at the St. Lawrence River or something like that, and I'm using, and it's pretty quick current even in still water, then I'd probably go with, I'm probably gonna be throwing over 1/8 of an ounce easy. Then I'd probably go with like the power finesse rod. That way I can do pinpoint flipping and pitching of smaller finesse style jigs like drop shots, just finesse jigs in general, like a micro jigs or TRDs on a like a Ned rig or something like that. Because I'm going to be throwing over 1/8 of an ounce just because of the current. So
I got you.
it really just depends on the weight. So like if you're doing anything from 1/8 up to 1/4 of an ounce, I'd go with the power finesse. And then if you're doing anything from like 1/16 to 1/8, it's like exposed hook point. You're using like 8-pound to 10-pound tests. I would go with the true finesse or the OG style light plus.
Perfect. All right, boys, I'll let you get back to the show. Can't wait to pick one of these up and play with them.
All right, Gramps, thanks for calling in.
You betcha.
Bye. All right, well, we've got Gramps taken care of, and that's important. Who else has a question for us? Let's see. Let me just see. My phone is blowing up with a lot of text messages. This is what happens when you give out your phone number. Can we order these now? The answer is yes. You can pre-order them at monsterbass.com/BFS. All we're waiting on the components from Fuji. Whenever you use Fuji components, you're at their mercy. They can design or they can develop the rods in the factory pretty quick, but it's waiting on Fuji. And I know no one wants to talk about tariffs, but I would probably pre-order one before these tariffs start kicking in, because I received a letter from two of the biggest conglomerates in fishing today, indicating their proposed price changes in response to the tariffs that go into effect on May 1st. They've notified all their suppliers, all the vendors, that prices are going up. And if you want to order something, you can order it now and get pre-tariff pricing. But on May 1st, everything's going up. In fact, I tried to place an order I'm going to just say it. I tried to place an order with GSM yesterday, and they wouldn't take my order. They said that they're going to sit on everything for 2 weeks because they want to see how it all plays out. Because right now, they can't tell. They have no way of knowing what the price of a product is. And if you've got a container in the middle of the ocean right now on its way, they have no idea what the cost is going to be when it lands. And so they are in a waiting pattern. And I got something from Strike King. I got something from Pure. I mean, everybody's a little freaked out about the pricing. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. So if you want one of these, I'd say pre-order one now, because I can't control anything that happens.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, that's going to be, especially for these brands that sell a lot of stuff, wholesale and stuff like that. It's like the direct-to-consumer market stuff. There's a lot more room there. I don't think you'll see as big of an increase in pricing from DTC guys, but for sure the guys that are like, primarily wholesale,
yeah,
they're going to feel it because their margins are already pretty small as it is. So,
right. Which means the little guys are going to feel it too, because ultimately they're the ones that are going to have to buy it, and if wholesalers are going to have to like move some pricing around. I just think it's going to hit everybody. I mean, when you're ordering like 1 million fishing rods, all right, you're going to have enough margin in there that you can play with it. But at the same time, the little guys that are like me that are going to buy 1,000 rods, you are going to get smoked. We're going to get smoked. And everyone that's even in the, and then we can get back to rods. But I was talking with one of the big soft plastic manufacturers in the States, and he's like, don't think for a second that just because we manufacture here in the States that the prices won't go up, because all the plastisol that we buy comes from Europe. And so while we might manufacture in the States, all the plastisol comes from Europe, and that's going to go up 30%. So now
well, there are plastisol manufacturers from the US, but I don't know where they get their chemicals from, because all those chemicals
from Germany,
they do the final, like the batch of the PVC. Like there's a company out of St. Louis that does all the plastisol here in the United States, but they may get chemicals that aren't made here in the US from overseas, which means their prices will go up from them making their PVC mixture, which would then cause prices to go up all over the place. So, and like even like mold manufacturers, where they're getting their aluminum from, right? Like all of those different things.
Yeah, it's crazy. But enough about tariffs. Let's get back to these rods. What is the BFS rod on the Monster Bass site 2 for $229? I wish. They certainly wouldn't be 40-ton carbon blanks if they were $109 each. That would be impressive.
No, I think they're $229.95 each.
Yeah.
I would guess.
For sure. And yes, Hookup Tackle is exploiting the crap out of it. I got an email today with my pre-tariff, my pre-tariff promo codes and all this other stuff. It's all gonna happen. It's all gonna happen.
Trying to move that inventory before they.
Right.
You think you wouldn't want to blow out inventory now on the lower price? You'd kind of want that price. You kind of want to be the last guy to raise your prices, right? Wouldn't that make sense?
Well,
it's the last guy, not the first guy.
That's what Pradco said to me. So for those that don't know Pradco is a big conglomerate, and they in the fishing and hunting space, and they own they're part of EBSCO, and they got Booyah and Great Lakes Finesse and some of the others, and they're just Yeah, they're just going to sit on their inventory and just see how it all plays out.
Try to amortize that tariff across several purchases, probably.
Probably. Let's see. We got another question here.
There's a good one from John Corley there.
Yeah, that was the one. So is a BFS system just a preference, or is there an advantage to using one?
There's absolutely an advantage, right? So with like pitching and flipping, I don't know if anybody's ever tried to pitch and flip with spinning tackle. It's not impossible.
It's awful.
But it takes a person with absolute talent to be able to put a jig in a cup from 30, 40 feet with a spinning rod. Like, you got to be good, right? Like I've seen a lot of guys that I go to a lot of these consumer trade shows and stuff like that, and everybody in their booth, they've got like a flipping and pitching thing set up where you stand on a box and they have like this little, it looks like one of those beanbag toss games, but it's for pitching and flipping. It has like little PVC cups that you try to pitch and flip the jig in there. I've never seen anybody try to do that with spinning tackle. Kind of the same thing on the bait finesse. Believe it or not, the smaller the tackle that you use, the lighter the baits, the slower the fall you're going to get through the water column. So say you're kind of getting a finicky bite. For me, like micro jigs are my Senkos, like my wacky rig Senko. That's kind of like my thing. If I want to catch numbers of fish, I'm throwing like an 8-ounce jig with, rubber skirted jig with like, I don't know, like a number 1 or number 2 sized hook on there. At the biggest, maybe like a 1/0 hook on that jig, and you actually get hung up less too, especially if you're fishing laydowns and stuff like that, because the bait's smaller. It's not bouncing and dropping off and getting stuck on every small little branch that's sticking out from that laydown or that piece of cover that you're trying to fish. Also too, it falls a lot slower through the water column, so it tends to not like hit things and then deflect in funny ways that cause that jig to roll where the hook point is now going to catch. I'll fish a 1/8 ounce jig with a small hook, no hook keeper at all, right around laydowns and stuff like that. And you just can't, I can't anyway. And the reason why they started this in Japan was even those guys over there, which you watch them on TikTok or YouTube videos, those are the guys that are doing this. And it's like skipping 37 times under, whatever they're doing with spinning tackle. They did this for the same reason. You can get more accuracy, and also too for like setting the hooks, especially in cover where it matters. You don't want that line getting twisted around laydowns and stuff like that. When you're setting the hook on a bait caster, it's an initial just flick of the wrist, right? Your wrist just comes up, the rod comes up. You get a lot more power and speed out of just flicking the wrist. I'm trying not to hit the ceiling fan above me, but you get a lot. But then when you're doing spinning tackle and you want to set the hook, you have to basically raise your whole arm, right? You've got this much motion to only get that much distance on setting the hook. Whereas if I'm holding it here and I'm flicking it up, I'm basically getting double the amount of, I'm trying to find which way the camera's going here, double the amount of movement with just a flick of the wrist, right? The rod's this way, or if I'm doing it this way, to get the same amount, I have to move my whole entire arm. So you just got like, you got more speed, you get more power, more momentum. Those are the benefits of fishing a BFS system over doing out spinning tackle. So
makes sense.
Physics.
Makes sense. I'll be honest. The BFS for me is like a godsend because I will do anything, and I mean anything, to avoid a spinning rod. I can't cast them with accuracy. I hate it. It goes back to when I was a kid and the way that my father taught me how to do it. I can't break the habit. I cast the exact same way that he taught me to do it as a kid, and now I hate it. I stood on a boat with Matt Brown, and every time he handed me a spinning rod, it's like I'd throw it back down and I'd grab the chatterbait and start throwing. I was like, no, can't do it. So if I can throw a BFS setup, it's gonna make me a happy man. So
Yeah, and I mean, like you could. So traditionally, they use it for like power fishing presentations. But what I really like to do is especially it's like when I'm fishing presentations where I'm trying to keep my rod tip low to the water. So for example, like say I'm fishing for like smallmouth in the St. Lawrence River and I'm throwing like a Ned rig or something, or I'm throwing even a drop shot, and there's kind of a pretty decent current, and I want to keep that rod tip low, right? So that I can get good quick hook sets. With spinning tackle, I find myself missing fish, right? Or you know, just they'll bite, and then by the time I'm here and I've got a lot of. When you have your rod tip low and you can keep your line tight without pulling the weight off the bottom. You get a lot more when you have your rod up higher in a spinning setup. You tend to have like a bow and a flip in your line, but with a bait casting rod, you can kind of, you know, keep that rod tip kind of pointed the direction that your line's going down, and so that when you're popping that rod tip, you tend to just hit. I just tend to miss less fish when I'm fishing fast currents against the current. Using lighter weights where it's hard to feel the bottom. So.
All right. Who else has got a question for me here? Now I'm getting questions in Slack and on my phone. You guys got to do me a favor. Just throw it in the chat here, like asking me to look at my phone, Slack, and here. It's a lot. All right.
I've never used Slack. I'm an old man, I guess.
Well, all right. Here's what we're going to do, guys. If you're just tuning in, we've been talking BFS rods with Will Stewart, who designed the lunker sticks. And we're going to call a couple more golden ticket numbers. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up so that we know we're doing a good job, even though we know, but we want YouTube to think we're doing a good job too. So that's obviously pretty helpful to the algorithm that you're trying to improve upon. Speaking of algorithms, did you hear about the quiet bidding war between Walmart and Amazon for TikTok?
No.
Oh my God. The amount of money that I keep hearing that's being thrown around, because this is such a giant power play, because you control TikTok and you control commerce, because that algorithm's so much better than everybody else's in that. Amazon and Walmart are battling it out right now for that. It's insane. But,
yeah, lately it has been for sure.
Yeah. All right, golden tickets. You know the routine. It comes individually numbered. It's in your Monster Bass box. And if I call out your number, email me at marketing@monsterbass.com. Take a picture of it. Make sure you give me your name, your phone number, and your email address so I can mail you something from the garage. We're getting closer and closer to my goal of being able to pull my car into the garage. I only hope we can do that in the next month, because my lease is up on May 25th, at which time I'm getting a bigger vehicle, I think. But we'll see. All right, so the next set of golden ticket numbers is 224-561 and 110402. So for all of you that have been texting me throughout the week asking when the bigger numbers are going to show up, I think all we've had was big numbers except for one today, and I don't pick the numbers. Someone in customer service picks the numbers and just gives them to me. So speaking of customer service, we want to keep sending big shout out and lots of love to Bethany and Alex Rudd. They just, they had a baby. Bethany's on maternity leave, and we wish her the best. So
yeah, congrats. It's a life changer, that one.
That is the life changer. I just celebrated on Monday my kid's 20th birthday, and I got to tell you, it's insane to think that he's 20 years old. Like, it seems like yesterday I was holding the kid in one hand and yeah,
they grow up fast. My oldest is 17, so
it's insane. Are these golden ticket numbers from the March Z-Man box? These are golden ticket numbers that some are from this month, some are from last month, some are from the month before. I'm gonna call them until we until we get some winners, because I can't keep calling out numbers every single week, small or big, and only have I think we've only had 2 winners so far. Yeah. I'll buy some stuff in your garage. You could do that. Got to figure out the spinning casting. I'm catching him right now on a drop shot wacky rig with, oh, it's Cupcake. I was just reading the thing. Well, it's because Cupcake Coley is the drop shot queen. She'll drop shot an airtail rattler. I don't know how she does it, but she does.
Yeah, you just get a big hook and just go. I drop shot crawbaits all the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. All right, guys, we are coming up on an hour here, and I want to make sure that we're respectful of time. But if you guys have some questions regarding the BFS lineup, I'd love to take them. I'd love to hook you guys up with a promo code. So if you want to pre-order one of these BFS rods, there's a code down below that you can use, and it'll save you some money. And as soon as I have a delivery date, I'll let you know. We're working on some changes on the lunker sticks as well, so we'll probably talk about those pretty soon. And hopefully we've got some more surprises in store, because I'd love to be talking about some big plans and not tariffs, because I don't really I can't do anything about it. Whatever it is, it is. So
Yeah, but we'll have to see where it goes. I mean, who knows how long they'll stick around,
Yeah, who knows is right.
Yeah,
We definitely need to come out with the so we had a conversation a week ago, and one of the things in the lunker stick lineup is we want to come out with we want to make sure that the chatterbait, the bladed jig rod is we're going to call it the chatter Gramps in honor of Gramps. And we got to make sure that it's all set up and ready for them. So what else? Jerry, thank you for your patience. It's this rod took a lot longer than we originally planned, and that was because we wanted to make sure it was every time we found one thing that we were we got to tweak it. So we just kept tweaking it and tweaking it and tweaking it.
Yeah, I mean, it might be my fault too. I'm a little bit of a stickler to attention to detail. So even if there's even if there's a logo that's this way instead of that way, I'm like, no, guys, it's got to be fixed. I'm very, I guess, anal about small details. I think small details is what makes something better than something else, right? Anybody can just throw out a simple design and just have somebody put it together and make a rod. But for me, everything from down to, the guide wraps and, what aught thread they're using, or all these things are it's just, and it's important for me that it has to match what I imagine the rod to do in my head in real life. Has to come out the exact same way. Otherwise, I'm just not. I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to put my face or associate my name with a product that was just an average Me Too type of product that's just doing that. No. If it's a designed by Will Stewart thing, it's got to be the best in its price class.
What we don't have is a swim bait rod. I mean, the challenge is, I feel like everybody wants 8 foot. Shipping an 8 foot plus rod is a pain in the ass.
Yep, unless you do a
2-piece
Will Stewart trick,
which is.
I mean,
I know what it is. I know what it is. You're gonna take it and you're gonna screw it at the handle, right?
Not screw it, but it'll be a spigot joint. So basically, you'd have a spigot joint where I don't know if you've seen like any of the Japanese 2-piece rods where instead of having like the top come over the bottom, actually a spigot joint where it's glued into the bottom side and the top side so that the two pieces of the blank meet together. But what I would do is instead of having a through handle, you would have a carbon tube here with a spigot joint where it basically slides right into the aluminum grommet on the reel seat. So you pop it out here. This section would be about a foot. This section will be about 7 feet to 7.5 feet. And then you basically would have them wrapped individually. And so that way when you ship them, it would have a shipping length of about 7.5 feet. But when you put it together, it'd be like an 8.5 foot rod, 8 foot. So, yeah.
What's the downside to it?
No downside. Wouldn't even be able to tell that it wasn't a one piece. Feel like one piece, fish like a one piece. Might lose a little, like a I don't know, 20% sensitivity, but because it's happening right at the reel seat, you're not even losing that much vibration. You may even amplify it. To be honest, I haven't done that type of frequency tests on that type of rod. But back in the day, Fenwick, Japan. Okay, so people that don't know, with Arbu Garcia or Pure Fishing branded products, so Arbu Garcia, Fenwick, Berkeley, Fluger, they have their own office in Japan. And so Berkeley had actually licensed Fenwick to I want to say Mega Bass or Depths. Back before Pure Fishing acquired Fenwick, Japan had a license for that Fenwick brand. And they used to have this Fenwick where they used to use that Amrid, so like a Kevlar fiber mixed in with the blanks. So the Japanese Fenwick stuff was like, I'm talking $1,000 to $2,000 type of a thing. It was high end. Wow. So when I was over there in Japan, one of my friends who was a professional fisherman over there, he had one of those old Fenwick like swim bait rods from Japan, and it had that spigot jointed system. And that's kind of where I'm ganking the idea from. Not a lot of brands do it. Some brands do it. But it's been around for a while. Like I'm talking, this was like 90s. So.
Gramps said that the new the new Shimano swim bait rods are done that way.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, because that spigot joint system is popular in Japan. So all of their 2-piece rods use spigot joints. Like I think the brand that's most popular for it here in the United States is Cass King. They use a spigot joint. I mean, I've talked with Sandy. You know how we meet people at shows and all that kind of stuff. So
sure,
I may have kind of given him a tip about that in 2015. But I'm not saying he did it because of me, but we did have that conversation once.
Well, you missed them at the Classic. I got to tell you, these guys, you've been to quite a few shows, and you remember their booths back in the day, right? Like,
yeah, it was just one banner wall. They had a couple tables,
Yeah, it would look like my booth today.
Yeah,
their booth was the most impressive booth I've seen in a long time, like maybe ever. And they gave away $1 million in product. All you had to do was walk up there and be like, Do you follow me on social media? I do. Look, great. Do a quick post. Here's a rod. That was it. Rods and reels. And they could have sold those things for $25 and still sold them all. And they gave them away to celebrate their new headquarters opening in Texas.
Oh, they moved from the East Coast to Texas, huh?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, they've grown up a lot, man. I remember back when they very first started. They started out here in the U.S. probably around the same time as Doomsday. So I think they were ICAST maybe a year or 2 years before us.
Yeah.
But Yeah, they've come a long way.
They've come a long way from being just an Amazon brand.
Yeah, sure.
They've done,
Which is good. I kept telling them that. I kept telling them, you want to get some brand identity. You want your product line to kind of, because when they first started out, everything was kind of like how the brand looks, how the feel was kind of all over the place. But now their stuff is all, all you look at it and you're like, that's a cat. You know how you look at a Shimano reel or you look at an Arbor Garcia reel or you look at a Luz reel and you can just tell that's a Luz. You don't even have to look at the logo on it. You just look at the shape and you're like, boom, that's a Luz. It has a brand identity.
mm-hmm.
They've got that now. And I think, good for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And good for AJ Gore. Hopefully he's got a little piece of that company.
Oh yeah. Oh, AJ. He's a great dude too.
Dude, he's like,
Ty too as well. So.
Half the size of AJ of old. It's a combination
he's
of
been looking good.
Older.
I've seen him on socials.
Yeah, it's a combination of getting older and riding bikes a lot. So he's he's looking good. He's looking good. All right. What is the question here? Have you finished the patch design for the new flak jacket rod covers? Oh my God. No, I have not. That's the factory asking me questions. We need a monster bass glide bait soon. says James Anthony. Well, James Anthony, I sat at the Pacific Coast Sport Fishing Show, and the booth next to me was Mike Buca. And then at the Classic, he was on the same floor. And we talked a lot, and we've been talking a lot. We've been talking a lot about what I would do, how to make an ABS version really good. He talked a lot about his ABS glide baits and pros and cons of the way that, GSM is making them. And if he had to do it all over again, what he would do. And he gave me a lot of good input. And so we are talking with the factory about how to go about doing this. And maybe it is something that comes to life someday, because
I can make them look really cool, but to be honest with you, that's probably the only segment of the fishing industry that I don't know what I'm doing.
mm-hmm.
Like I can make one that looks good, but will it actually work well?
Right.
So
yeah, it's a tough one. I sat with Brendan Brown from Brown Bait Co. is in my booth at the Classic too, and he's pouring resin and carving them out of wood, and he's talking all about how to do this, how to do that, and to me it seems like, again, it seems so simple. It seems like you could literally 3D scan any bait, look at the weighting, look at the size, and and how hard would it be? But again, I'm only thinking of it from an engineering standpoint. Like,
reverse engineering one, even then you miss details. Like there's things that are done. Like you couldn't there's nobody who could reverse engineer one of the rods that I designed. Right. So like,
well, hold on. Why do you say that? Because I know a brand that fully reverse engineered it, and they're selling a lot of them on Tackle Warehouse.
The rods?
Yeah, and I can tell you exactly how they did it, because I was a part of the process. Like, I sat there and watched as they went through the whole thing. Like, they scanned everything, then they did the whole thing where they put them in like what do you call them? Like, not vice grips, where you put them into
yeah, you put them in a clamp and you can get the deflection.
Yeah, they did all that.
Yeah, so you could get one that looks the same, right?
Yeah.
And you could get one that has the same deflection, but with like the rods that, like I was saying before, there are tiny details in the construction of the rod. Like, unless you were to somehow unravel it, so like the blank construction, right? So with the blank construction, even cutting it in half, because of the way that I layer different tonnages of graphite together.
Yeah.
So like you've been a process of some of the rods that I've designed,
Right.
but I've always told the factory to use my blanks, right? Like the blanks that I developed in the past, right? So I'm using blank construction techniques without actually telling what's going on. So inside of one of a blank that I designed, there are multiple tonnages of carbon that are layered in a specific way that causes them to be stronger and more sensitive than simply rolling a 40-ton blank. So in that, it's not going to feel the same. It's kind of like if you were to take, I don't know if anybody plays guitar or does musical instruments or anything like that, but if you were to take like a guitar and use the same woods, right? Use the same braces and structures like that, but like you don't know, you're not able to see without cutting it and pulling it apart, like how the joints fit and how that joint affects the vibrations and the transmissions. You'd have to do, here's for an example. I used to work, when I worked for Pure Fishing, I knew of a company that tried to reverse engineer the power bait scent, and they weren't able to, right? Like there are some things, it's like Coca-Cola. You think you'd be able to just drop Coca-Cola recipe into like a chemical thing and it will tell you what chemicals are here, molecules, amounts of that. But when you put it together, you can't get the same. How many times have people tried to copy Coke, but nobody ever gets to taste like Coke? Right? Like there's always some kind of secret sauce that can't be replicated unless you know the method of how things are put together. The order matters. A lot of those things. So like even with baits too, you can copy a design, but just because it looks like it weighs the same as something else doesn't mean it's going to perform, because you've got hardness, you've got types of plastisol, you've got heat stabilizers, what brand of heat stabilizer is being used. There are a lot of details that go into there. If you're just kind of mass manufacturing stuff and you're not really caring, you're not paying attention to the details. But when you're going in there and you're basically designing it from the ground up, like every aspect of it, there's like secret sauce that goes in there.
Yeah, I guess I get it.
You can't really get. So yeah. So like with my rods, there's secret sauce, right? So there's secret sauce in there.
All right. Will, can you explain the solid tip difference?
Yeah, so solid tips, I guess, are they becoming more popular nowadays here in the U.S.? There's solid tips basically instead of when you're building a rod, so like most people know, and especially if you've ever broken a rod, that like inside here it's hollow, right?
Okay.
So in the tip section, what they'll do is they'll take, so even this tip section here on the inside is hollow, right? You'll have the mandrel, it's wrapped around the mandrel, and there's a hollow section. Well, in a solid tip, it's more rolled, kind of like a pencil. So it's not hollow. It's still, circularly wound, but so basically what it allows you to do is to be able to get, with 100% carbon fiber, you're able to get that kind of like that glass feel where you can have a tip that's kind of like super soft, right? And so you're able to have a stiffer backbone with a softer tip. So something like for a jerk bait rod, especially for like a jerk bait rod, or on spinning rods where you want that, especially in saltwater, like solid tip products, especially in Japan, are really popular in saltwater. And allowing that rod tip to be like super soft, but then the backbone be longer, because basically what they'll do is they'll connect that solid tip to the rod blank with a spigot joint and kind of hide it underneath a guide wrap.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually a two-piece rod. You have the solid tip that is then kind of stuck into the circular wrapped rod that's wrapped around a metal mandrel, and it usually comes down inside the rod about a good 6 to 8 inches, and then it's wrapped under a guide, and that gives you like a super soft tip that allows you to kind of see, especially like for like smaller species, like I don't know what they're called in the U.S., but there's a species of fish like in Japan that they call like a marabou, and it's a saltwater. It's kind of like basically you're catching like really small bluegill, like maybe a year and a half, 2-year-old bluegill, and they're like apparently like super tasty. Like even though you only get like, especially like raw, like you get 1 or 2 little slices of fish or whatever, they're like uber tasty and kind of like I guess crappie of the sea, right? And they're smaller, and you need like to be able to see them bite. You kind of have to have a super soft tip that you can kind of see that rod tip kind of bounce and jump as you're getting popped. And you're fishing like super light weights too, but because you're fishing in tides and around jetties and stuff like that you want to be able to pull them out quick, so you need a backbone. So it kind of gives you the best of both worlds, where you have like a super slow action tip, but then a very fast action rod butt section. So that's kind of so it's really good for like super light finesse presentations. I think it would be really good on a jerk bait rod. So like when I fish jerk bait rods that the whole rod is super whippy.
Yeah.
I don't like to throw people under their bus, but there was a rod brand back in the day that was yellow and black that used to be very noodly in its presentation. You go to jerk the bait, you're not getting good action on the jerk bait because the rod is bending so much, right? If you're getting too much flex, it's hard. It wore you out, right? Like trying to jerk a really noodly rod just wears you out because the rod is fighting against you. It's wanting to bend against the way you're jerking it. So if you're trying to get sharp, movements on the bait, having a rod that's too flexible kind of goes against you. But if you have a rod that has a faster back, a solid, more kind of fast action backbone, but has that solid tip in the tip section that would allow you to kind of get that to keep the hooks pegged, right? So that way you're not losing fish on the hook sets, right? I think it would be a really good idea. They've used solid tips on bait finesse rods, mostly in the saltwater market in Japan. I don't know if they're really ever caught on in the freshwater market. I think for a jerk bait, it'd be a great idea because the tip would go, but because it's only this much of the tip that's bending, the rest of the rod would move the bait. So, but you'd still get that when they bite it. You're keeping them pinned because that tip is going to absorb the short strike. But,
All right. Let's see.
But I've learned in the fishing industry, you don't ever want to be the first one with an idea. It's not work out.
Well, I mean, if you came out with the, no, I guess you're right. It's kind of like the dice, that bait. It's the most ridiculous looking thing, but literally it's just like big piece of plastic with a bunch of little hairs hanging off it and just moves in the water. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Some of the pricing on some of those things is a little bit insane.
Yeah, like Patrick Sabile is a good example. Like the dude's a genius. Like the things that guy thinks up as far as like bait design is concerned is to be honest, like it makes a nerd like me be like, man, how did you think of that? But the reason why his products like they caught on, like he's had some success. The reason why they never really like just blew people out of the water is because they're so far outside of the box,
right?
That they're just anglers are nervous to try it. So,
but if he just designed it and gave it to a bunch of Japanese dudes, they'd all come and they just used it to create content. Everyone start buying his stuff.
I'm gonna tell you right now, that's why the U.S. It's like when bait finesse was really popular when I first came over back to the U.S. in 2015, and we were probably one of the first bait brands to offer a micro jig trailer. Nobody was offering like micro jig specific trailers back then. Nobody had a bait finesse rod. No one. No, there was no American, like not Shimano America, not Arbio Garcia America. No one had a bait finesse rod on the market at the time. The only available, I think if you go to, TackleTour.com, there's a review of the very first BFS rod that Doomsday ever did. I think they even mentioned that in the review, like the first American brand to put out a bait finesse rod. But yeah, you don't ever want to be first. You want to be the loudest as it pops off. That's what you want to be in the fishing industry. Like the sprinkler frogs. You remember the sprinkler frog hype back in the day?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want it as soon as the trend hits, because those sprinkler frogs were old. Those were like 15-year-old baits. They're like it's a small brand in Japan. They're not really that popular. For whatever reason, around 2017, the sprinkler frog thing just went here, and they couldn't sell them fast. They couldn't make them fast enough to sell them all. You don't want to be things in the U.S. Just kind of people were always cautious and worried about things. Like I even used to ask, like it was a funny story. So we used to sponsor David Mullins back when Doomsday first started, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro, and we were at the campground at one of the tournaments, and I was talking to him about bait finesse, like small micro jigs, and he was talking with Takahiro, and he asked Talk, he's like, you ever use one of these little small jigs? And Talk fills out this half ounce or like 1 ounce jig. He's like, no, I throw these. But Talk's been fishing in the US for like 20, 30 years, right? But then all of a sudden, Mike Iaconelli goes to Japan one day and sees what he calls a Tokyo rig, which is just a normal rig that they use over there all the time. It's nothing special. And then he starts, making a micro jig with missile baits, and then boom, like everybody's into it, right? Like it just takes, and that was 3, 4, 5 years after it happens. Like all of these, or like what was that classic one the other time? Was it like spy baits or mid-strolling?
Yeah.
There's a huge mid-strolling craze now. Well, mid-strolling is something that happened in Japan back like 2012. Like it's not even, like they're not even doing that anymore. But it's all the rage here now because somebody won a tournament doing it, and then everybody starts talking about it on social media. Now everybody wants a mid-stroll shad bait or something like that.
Good stuff. All right. I'm getting hit up for, let's see, golden tickets. I have an investment question. Yeah, that's great. We'll answer those. Oh, one more. Oh, it's Coley. She's catching fish.
Yeah, she said she was fishing right now.
Yeah. Because the video call, voice chat feature. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, listen, if you've got more questions, now's the time to ask them. If not, we're gonna thank Will for his time and let him go so he can. It's 8:30 on the East Coast, so
yeah, it's past my dinner time.
it's past his dinner time. So let's just call it a day because I want you to get to your dinner. I'm quite hungry too, but listen, I really appreciate you coming on the show. Appreciate you designing these rods for us, and I can't wait to get a finished product. Maybe we'll have one of those shipped over here so we can get them all photographed, and you keep the other one.
Yep, I got the tube. It's sitting in the
I'll give you
right outside my office door.
Yeah, give you the FedEx account number, and we'll go from there. But
Or just
look,
email
man,
me a label.
Yeah, I can do that too. So, listen, man, I appreciate you coming on the show, and have a good night.
Yep, we'll do, man. Thanks for having me.
You got it.
See you guys next time.
All right, bye.
Later.
All right, guys, that was Will Stewart from our rod designer from Doomsday Tackle, and amongst other things. He's a man of many talents, and truth be told, if we could somehow make him part of the Monster Bass team, I would. But right now, he's just designing these rods for us. So we'll see what the future holds. We'll see, guys. All right, before we go, couple things. Questions about investing. If you've got questions about whether or not investing in Monster Bass is the right investment opportunity for you, first of all, you can go to monsterbass.com/invest. There's a variety of information. If you have more questions, you can email me at rick@monsterbass.com. The company's currently valued at $7 million. We're selling shares at 53 cents each. You can get in for as little as $250. You got 21 days left. We are going to close the funding round at April 30th, and we are not going to open it back up. So if you would like to become an owner in the company, now is your chance. And again, it's as little as $250. Questions, rick@monsterbass.com. I will jump on a call with you. I'll answer any question you have. Secondly, this month, product testing. Every Platinum Series box has one of these baits in it. It's your opportunity to test some product before they hit the general public. Today, I confirmed with a brand they're going to put 4 crankbaits. That's right, 4 crankbaits. It dives to 4, 6, 8, and 10-foot diving crankbaits. We're going to test all 4. We're going to test their entire series. 2 in 1 month, 2 the following month. You guys are going to get those. There's a frog coming up. What else is coming up? I'm going to personally put my lipless in there because I do want some feedback. And we're going to put the Grande Bass Square Bill. Some of y'all are going to get an opportunity to test the Grande Bass Square Bill crankbait because, when we bought the company, we didn't know they had a square bill, and they did. And we're going to take those out and send them to you guys and put them in your hands. According to Jeremy Francis from Fishing the Lone Star, the Grande Bass square bills are amazing. I've never even held one in my hand. I've seen pictures. They look. Oh, no, that's not true. I have held them in my hand. I had them sent to me for pictures so that I could take them, but I've never actually thrown one. We got a popping frog coming. We've got some really sick baits coming. And so the easiest way to become a product tester is sign up at monsterbass.com. Make sure you get the platinum box. It's all included in your program. If you've invested in Monster Bass, you just got to wait until the funding window closes, and then you'll start receiving stuff in the mail. It's a whole process that's regulated by the SEC. And so away we go. What else do I have for you? I think I have 2 more golden ticket numbers. And hold on. Putting this here. I'm just typing it up for you. Golden tickets. You're going to be happy for these. These are smaller. The final 2 are small numbers. And A lot of doubles today, I noticed. Interesting. Yeah, so I thank you guys for tuning in. I hope that the quality was pretty good. I hope we didn't have any problems. Nick, how many people have claimed golden tickets? Recent memory, I can think of 2. But I do like the idea of, making it part of, you got to tune in. You tune into Monster Bass Live, and we'll call out your number, and we'll call out your number. You put your number in the chat if you're here, and then we'll call from those numbers. The challenge is, if I tune in 5 minutes late and I miss the announcement, then I'm not going to know to do that. And how many times am I going to have to do this throughout the whole conversation to make sure everyone gets a chance? NCT Small Engine Repair. Yes, here's what I would do. Send an email to rick@monsterbass.com. Tell me that you want to upgrade from gold to platinum. I will have them upgrade you. I'm sure she'll hook you up with a deal so that you're well taken care of, and you will, yes, be a part of product testing this month and every month. So you're good. All the golden ticket numbers will show in the chat afterwards during the rewind. For whatever reason, YouTube's not allowing us to go backwards in the chat, but I will make sure that all you got to do is, once this gets posted live to the channel after the show, all the tickets will be, or all the golden tickets will be in the chat. You'll be good to go. So if you are sitting there, and wanting to product test and want to upgrade from silver or gold to platinum, email me, rick@monsterbass.com. I will take care of it for you. I will make sure my support team has it taken care of by tomorrow morning, so you're all set up and good to go. And as always, you got questions about investing, again, hit me up. But until then, I hope you guys all have a great night. On the way out, hit that thumbs up for me, please, and thank you. And I'll see y'all next week. Have a great night. Thanks a lot. Can I go double platinum? No, don't do that. You're just going to get duplicates. It's not worth the money. It's not worth the money. You're going to get the same. You're going to get a duplicate box. I mean, if you want to do it, but I mean, I don't want to take your money. Oh, and thank you, James. Golden tickets. The final 2 golden tickets of the night. 3450-8445. Losing my mind. Have a great night, you guys.